Hello and welcome to this year's BiblioShare update for Tech Forum 2020. My name is Tim Middleton and I am a project manager at BookNet Canada. Today I will be talking about the BookNet data aggregation and distribution platform, BiblioShare. There are two stories to tell this year. The first story is really a continuation of the story from previous years, the ongoing ingestion, processing, and delivery of data on behalf of the Canadian supply chain. The second tale tells a story about our investment in rebuilding BiblioShare from the ground up. This story explores the hours spent together as a team discussing what works, what doesn't, what can be improved, what is essential, and how can we build a faster, more flexible, more mature service for the industry. Clayton Christensen was an American academic and business consultant who developed the theory of disruptive innovation, which was first introduced in his 1997 book, The Innovator's Dilemma. Christensen passed away in January of this year, but the ideas he introduced are still very much alive. One of his ideas that I appreciate deeply is his jobs to be done insight. In a famous example of his, Christensen was asked to figure out how a fast food chain could sell more milkshakes. The company had done all kinds of market research and had all kinds of data, but ultimately none of that data helped them to sell more milkshakes. And the main reason this data didn't help the company was that they were missing a crucial insight. And that insight was that people were hiring the milkshake to do a job for them. I won't go into the details here, but the main takeaway was that companies need to understand what job it is that people are hiring their product to do. So what job can you hire BiblioShare to do? Well, one of the obvious jobs that BiblioShare can take care of for you is that BiblioShare can take care of storing your data. BiblioShare can act as a huge filing cabinet. Let's call it the cabinet of Dr. Bibliographia. People can send their data to BiblioShare with the understanding that BiblioShare will store that record and have the data available when you or someone else in the supply chain is wanting the data, or are next looking for it, or want the updated data. BiblioShare is currently the filing cabinet for over 3.4 million ONIX 2.1 records and over 300,000 ONIX 3.0 records, and counting. In this slide, we can see that the filing cabinet is getting more and more use every day. If not for adding new files, at least for updating the files that are already stored in the cabinet. In 2019, the users of BiblioShare filing cabinet added over 2,942 new records on average per day. And they updated, on average again, per day, 140,612 records. Now, the new records per day is slightly down over 2018, but the average updated records is up over 30,000. So we can see that there is definitely a growing need and a growing desire to store 2.1 data in BiblioShare. Meanwhile, ONIX 3.0 data storage within BiblioShare has remained relatively flat compared with 2018, receiving on average per day 274 new records, with a per day average of 8,000 records receiving updates. Since April 1st, 2019, BiblioShare has received 923,756 new ONIX 2.1 records, while over 44 million updates have been applied in that same time. For ONIX 3.0, we've seen almost 85,000 new records added, with close to 2.5 million updates applied to records over the year. In 2019, BiblioShare also added 61 new ONIX 2.1 accounts and 15 new 3.0 accounts. Currently, BiblioShare has to take both 2.1 and 3.0 files since the industry has not cut over yet to fully supporting just 3.0. And there are still a lot of companies out there that are looking to hire your 2.1 data from BiblioShare to do jobs at their firms. Currently, BiblioShare breaks its users into 3 types of accounts. And in 2019, in BiblioShare, we added 39 new publisher accounts, 4 new supplier accounts, and 33 new web service accounts. Here I'll just explain a bit about the differences of these types of accounts. The publisher accounts allows a publisher, regardless of their size or number of records they have, to send into the great cabinet of Dr. Bibliographia data that we then can say that the publisher owns in BiblioShare, in particular the sales rights. Now, a supplier is really just a different word for distributor. These accounts send data that can contain many different publishers' ONIX data. In theory, if a publisher sends, say, something like measures that the publisher doesn't provide in their ONIX record, then BiblioShare takes them from that supplier record. But in general, suppliers, distributors are probably using a publisher file without addition. But ultimately, BiblioShare does not update based on the supplier file. Once a publisher owns the record, we rely on the publisher feed. The one exception, though, is the supply detail, which is owned by the supplier. This is an important consideration if, say, your files contain your US distributor's information and you want that in, say, a product like BNC Catalyst. We can manually set ownership to the publisher on the entire record and exclude the supplier record if it's necessary. That's done on an ISBN level, so it can be very surgical, but it's a manual process where any new ISBN has to be added to the list. In general, we hope that distribution belonging to the supplier is appropriate and will carry their information like discount codes and the price they use and such. The web service accounts are those types of accounts that are looking to hire your data to get jobs done. There's a saying that data is the new oil. So looking at our new geysers in 2019, we find that the 43 new providers, 39 publishers accounts, and 4 supplier accounts, have contributed 545 file uploads to BiblioShare for a total of 4 gigabytes of data for 2019, an average of 6,800 kilobytes per file. While the older geysers, providers already in BiblioShare, have contributed 18,445 file uploads in 2019 for a total of 50 gigabytes of data, which is an average file size of 50,000 kilobytes per file. That's a lot of data oil. BiblioShare not only ingests ONIX data, but also supporting materials. And in 2019, we saw an increase of 500,000 cover images loaded to bring the total to about 2.8 million covers. Interior images went from 170,000 to 240,000. And our author image data set doubled in 2019 from 4,400 in 2018 to 8,800 in 2019. BiblioShare is also ramping up support for samples, seeing increased samples going from a mere 359 in 2018 to 1,200 in 2019. Reader guides increased from 157 to 259, and table of content material went up to 100 from a mere 19. Remember the web service accounts? Those companies out there looking to hire your data out of BiblioShare? They may want it to update prices, populate websites, use in an app. However they want to hire your data, those 33 new web service accounts that we added in 2019 have made 560,000 requests looking to hire everything from the full ONIX to cover images and more. In 2019, we also added a few more services to our web service offerings. One of the services added is what we have called our ISBNs for Assets service. Making a call to this service with the right switch in the request, will return a list of all ISBNs held in BiblioShare for the asset required, including samples, excerpts, table of contents, reader guides, teacher's guides, back cover, and author photos. To see all of our web service offerings that come out of BiblioShare, please feel free to check our documentation at booknetcanada.atlassian.net/wiki/spaces user docs. And if you have any questions at all about any of our offerings, please feel free to email us at biblioshare@booknetcanada.ca. As mentioned, this year BiblioShare has two stories to tell, a tale of two platforms. The second story is about our investment in rebuilding BiblioShare from the ground up. It's not a task to approach lightly. We've been spending many hours together as a team to discuss what can be improved, what are the essential features that we need, how can we build a faster, more flexible, more mature platform. How can we take a lot of the tasks that we do that have emerged over the past 13 years of current BiblioShare productivity, leverage that knowledge, and improve processes? Our first step was to survey our stakeholders in the industry to understand better how they currently interact with BiblioShare. We had a total of 49 responses to this in-depth survey covering publishers, distributors, data service providers, and retailers. We first off wanted to know if those we surveyed created or used ONIX for their metadata, and 84% of those surveyed said yes to that question, while those who did not say yes still mainly use Excel to store and distribute their metadata. And to the question about which version companies are supporting, 57% said they create or use only version 2.1. 7% said they are using only version 3.0, and a healthy 37% of those surveyed said they use or create both versions of ONIX. We wondered about companies' workflows, and in the hopes of pinpointing the main pain points in data management. The number one pain point is how much inefficiency there is resulting from things like the duplication of efforts by staff, the need to create different ONIX feeds for ebooks and print books, and the effort involved in getting changes made when needed in the systems that are being used. Out of those surveyed, we found that ONIX Edit is the most widely used platform for data creation and distribution. Next, we asked about what kind of supporting resources data providers are providing outside of their ONIX files, and it is no surprise that 28% send covers, while 17% send interiors, and 16% send the full book. I will just mention here that BiblioShare does not want your full book. While we do love your ebooks, BiblioShare only wants the details about your book, not the actual book. Next, we wondered if providers took the time to audit whether their data had been delivered and ingested at their trading partners, and 48% of them said they always verify that their data has successfully distributed, and 36% said they occasionally verify. Next, we asked what kind of information is helpful to communicate back to the data providers, and the number one piece of information that is helpful is receipt confirmation. Something as simple as, "We received your data," goes a long way toward creating transparency in the supply chain. With the survey results we received, we were able to start some more in-depth discussions with certain stakeholders, from the library wholesalers, retailers, channels, to solution providers and publishers of the data. These interviews are ongoing, and we're always interested in speaking with more of you more in-depthly in order to understand how our platform can help make your life easier. The next step for us in our process was to sit down as a team and try to capture everything we heard from our users, as well as everything we have experienced while supporting BiblioShare. The original BiblioShare over these past 13 years. While capturing features to be built, our dev team started to explore what our technical solution would involve. They had to figure out what database solution we would use, what coding language to leverage, and then start modeling the structure of the project. As mentioned at the beginning, rebuilding a piece of software from the ground up is not something to take on without a great deal of consideration. But we at BookNet are very excited about the prospect of building a platform that will make both our lives and yours a little bit better. While this year we laid the foundation for this project and could begin to see things taking shape, like our ability to load ONIX files into a MongoDB database and track records through the system, we have a lot more to do. And next year at this time, we will be able to share even more good news about where we're at in our tale of two platforms. Thank you very much.